Like me, I'm sure you have sucked at a video game of some kind at some point. But unlike me, you have probably naturally gotten better at it by just playing it. I struggle with what is known as immense mental illness and neurodiversity, which means I only get good at a game after I've hyperfixated on it for over 1,000 hours. And recently, I had the delight of getting into the Monster Hunter World franchise, which taxed my tiny little pea-brain mind to its utmost capacity. So I was there looking for any way of improving my skills, and although chat did their darndest, their absolute darndest to help me learn, inevitably it all came down to them having to carry my sorry ass because I couldn't figure out what a single combo for the damn game was. But only after we'd beaten the campaign did I become aware of my favourite catboy on the internet, Animator, had actually made an animated series on how to get good at everything in Monster Hunter. And after having witnessed how much he taught me about Dungeons and Dragons, I thought this would be an awfully poignant opportunity for us to all gather around the bonfire and learn. So sit back, relax, go and check out the original guide the original playlist that's gonna be in the description of this video, and let's learn some Monster Hunter! And here we go. So the first one he's got up is for the Greatsword, one that I thought I learned how to use, but otherwise didn't because it made me stagnant as fuck. So let's see what JOCAT has to say and see what I missed out, evidently.
So Monster Hunter World is coming to PC soon. That means...
Wait, how old is this? Oh, this is old as f***. Oh, yo, guys, Monster Hunter World's coming to PC. Are you guys excited?
There's going to be a whole bunch of nooblets that aren't going to know how to play the game. And because I am the most well-known Monster Hunter content creator and greatest Monster Hunter player in the whole world, I know people are just clamoring for a guide from yours truly. Forget Gaijin Hunter, forget Arix Gaming, because they have no idea what they're talking about. Welcome to a crap guide to
Is this literally the highest
Hunter.
quality it goes? There we go. Alright, JOCAT, teach me, bitch!
Today we're going over the Greatsword,
this is really early in
most
this
iconic weapon, well, aside from the sword and shield. It's a weapon that's really good for people who are used to being disappointed, because you will never hit anything with this weapon, as it's slower than a tortoise on its way to a Monopoly game at the DMV.
No, this is what I remember. This is what I remember. My distinctive memory and core memory of using the Greatsword was that it was great to go for bonk, but if you went for bonk at the wrong bonk time, then you'd get bonked yourself. Also, I wonder how much of this is actually still valid, considering how much has changed over the years. Or whether anything's changed at all, at which point, I guess that shows how balanced things were to begin with. Not that you need balance in a fantasy... How fantasy get... Anyway, monsters.
You hit something, you do some pretty decent damage. Not
Boink.
as much as a sword and shield, but it's comparable. When you ready your swing, there are 3 levels of charge, each one doing more damage than the last, like masturbating multiple times a day. And like masturbating multiple times a day, if you overdo it, the next hit won't be as powerful.
Hey, now, don't call me out like that.
On top of this, you can tackle out of a charge, but if you do this, you are a wimp. No one tackles out of their charge. You're gonna commit and see that swing go through because you're not some pansy bow user canceling their shot to preserve stamina and reposition like some kind of Khonshu sympathizer. You're swinging a goddamn Greatsword, and you're gonna stand your ground like the Great Wall of China, mostly ineffective, but too much of a visual marvel to be torn down.
Embrace
and lastly,
the
there's one more
Greatsword
move in the Greatsword's arsenal, but it's a very dangerous one that can rip the fabric of space and time if used without proper constraint. In fact, you used to be able to do this regardless of your weapon in the previous games, but it's been removed in Monster Hunter World, save for some specific circumstances. A secret technique passed down for generations, one that the Elder Dragons hide in fear at the mere mention of it. This move is the kick.
Oh.
Really, all you ever have to do if you want to win.
That POV kind of looks like JOCAT's going for the forbidden circumcision move. Circumcision jutsu! If they cannot procreate, they can't gain more numbers! Yes! Joe, you're a genius!
Any fight, simply kick the monster and you cannot lose. Now you know how to use the Greatsword. You're welcome.
Wait, seriously? I always thought kicking with the Greatsword was the thing that threw me... Oh, I'm an idiot. Moving on to the longsword!
Let me ask you something. Are you the kind of person who likes to turn the difficulty knob all the way down?
Yes. Because I too am a masochist. I do that in every game I play. I will never play on the base difficulty because that's for pussies!
Let me ask you something. Are you the kind of person who likes to turn the difficulty knob all the way down to a baby mode for babies? Do you like...
Oh, no. No, I do the opposite. I like to make things purposely hard because people like to give me money when I do stuff that makes me in pain. What?
Picking up on popular trends so you don't miss out on being included like the desperate to fit in, anxious loser you are. While your peers were out having real lives and learning practical and social skills, were you busy studying the blade? Well, hug your nearest otaku body pillow in celebratory fashion because I have the perfect weapon for you. Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
People who use the longsword are the same people who use the mods to make your character look like 2B and then walk around like you're role-playing in the Automata.
If the monsters you were fighting had frenzy cancer and were on life support. That's right, I just said what everyone else is thinking. Your reach is so far out there, it could be mistaken for a flat earth theory. And your swing arcs are so all over the place and so fast like some kind of sword and shield wannabe, it turns the game into a cakewalk, like picking Bayonetta. This is a weeb weapon, perfect for anyone who unironically likes Sword Art Online and wants to animate it up. The most anime move being the Helmbreaker, where you launch yourself up.
Argument for why Joe is being a little bit unbased right now. Every game needs a weapon that is good for introducing people to the fundamentals of the game. Because not everyone is going to get good at the mechanics from the word go. So using an initially OP weapon allows people to not have to worry so much about the damage they're doing, so they can worry about the other fundamentals, so that they can compartmentalize things to then be able to focus on one thing at a time. Because some of us have crippling ADHD, can't focus on more than 2 things at once, need to hyperfixate on one thing so that we can then learn the other one later when we've learned the first thing first. Joe, you bloody sexy twink, you.
The monster slashing down and causing residual explosions after the initial cut. I have no idea why it does this, but if I had to guess, it's by the power of pure weeb seeping into the monster causing cringe damage. The other anime move is the Foresight Slash, a stance that counters any attack that comes your way. And because I'm so good at Monster Hunter, I don't feel the need to show you all the footage of the myriad of times I was able to pull it off. Because I totally did pull it off every time I used it. Stop asking so many questions. However, there is a catch to these moves in that they're reliant on your spirit cage, like a preteen reliant on their parent to bring them to that upcoming anime convention full of neckbeards. You fill it up by doing normal attacks and expend it by pressing R2, chaining together wide flashy swings.
I feel obliged to mention that I've been invited to go to an anime convention and appear on a panel soon. So, kindly go fuck yourself, Joe. And let me... Wait a minute, was this the first ever sighting of Skibidi Toilet? 5 years ago, we had Skibidi Toilet, but we didn't know it existed.
Neckbeards. Your weapon wasn't easy enough already. You finish it off with a roundhouse slash, increasing your damage to a maximum of 3 levels, and pose for the camera while dramatically sheathing your weapon. Seriously, what the hell is it with anime and sheathing swords? Your job as the longsword is to be an annoying little shit and interrupt everybody's attacks with your giant-ass swing arcs. It's okay, though, because you're at the top of the tier list, and everybody only hates you because of how good you are. And definitely not because of how you jumped on the bandwagon, because you saw it at the top of the tier list, like picking Bayonetta. And now you know how to use the longsword. You're welcome.
Something tells me Joe doesn't like people who choose Bayonetta. I mean, look, it's all well and good wanting to choose a character that's slightly more complicated so that you feel like you have skill. But there needs to be characters and weapons and options to help people who are not as good at video games compartmentalize and learn things better. Joe, but I appreciate the sentiment on, and I do understand that longsword may come across as maybe the newbie weapon, I guess.
Sometimes timing your attacks is too hard. Sometimes you just want to sit back and relax and hunt some dragons and... Sometimes timing your attacks is too hard. Sometimes you just want to sit back and relax and hunt some dragons and dinosaurs without having to worry about wind-ups and cooldowns on attacks. And sometimes you're a filthy casual who can't put in the time to learn mechanics, so you pick the least punishing weapon, you plebeian.
I have not pre-watched these. I have not pre-watched these. How dare you call me out on the thing I just said? Joe, please stop making these videos with future foresight, knowing this is exactly the conversation that I would have said. And fuck you, Joe, you egregiously aggressive, condescending asshole.
Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
Yeah, well, maybe if your video had more pixels than my brain, I might be able to actually understand what you're saying.
Dual wielding in the real world is impractical unless you're an extremely skilled fighter, so don't flatter yourself if that's the reason you pick the dual blades, because they require 0 skill in this game. All you ever...
The first time I picked up Monster Hunter World, I used the dual blades exactly for this reason, because they were simple and made me go zoom. Shut up.
Whatever have to do is button mash, and the cooldowns of each attack is so short, getting out of the way is no problem. There's no need to
However,
anticipate
I
the
did
monster's moves at all.
evolve
Just
from
mash
the dual
accordingly and hit
blade.
dodge. It's just
I
like
did
playing
then start
Assassin's
using
Creed.
the
But hold on to your black
bug
eyeliner and better
lance,
practice that
actually.
intimidating stare, because by pressing R2 you go into Demon Mode, where you start running around like Naruto.
Please
And in
insert
this mode you can button mash extra hard,
Devil
but
May
be
Cry
careful
music
though,
here.
because in this mode you start to lose stamina rapidly, and if you use it too liberally you'll last about as long as a nerdy college virgin. Attacks in this mode fill up a gauge similar to the longsword. Hell, I guess weeb weapons tend to have a lot in common, and while the gauge is filled you have access to some of the damage and attacks of Demon Mode while you're recovering stamina. Most of your hunts will
Interesting.
probably consist of you desperately attempting to recreate the Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate trailer, because damn it, it's in the game now and it's so satisfying to pull off, you keep trying and trying to get that perfect jumping attack, and then
yeah,
your family
okay.
gets concerned, asking
Yes, the dual blades might be simple, but they are aesthetic as hell. And that is the biggest part of Monster Hunter in general. I honestly think, and personally, I don't think optimization matters until you get to the late game content. When you're going through the story, when you're going through the base of the game, the only thing that should matter is that you're enjoying the process. And if your process is by spinning around like a demented Beyblade, riding up the back of a monster like I ride your mum in then let them do it. Let the dual blade enjoyers be a Beyblade. I'm just saying.
you if you're back on dash juice. The dual blades are puny weapons that have among the lowest damage per hit, but fortunately they hit frequently, which allows you to take advantage of monsters' elemental weaknesses. Except you won't do it nearly as well as the sword and shield, as the dual blades are inferior in every way.
Something tells me that
seriously,
Joe
you
is a
can't even
sword
use
and shield
items while it's
sim.
unsheathed, and you have to rely on a temporary buff to deal decent damage, which is the most nonsensical thing. Why should you rely on a temporary buff to make yourself viable? I'm looking
Because
at you,
it's
Hunting
cool.
Horn. On a totally unrelated note, Capcom, why didn't you keep oils for the sword and shield? Do you hate sword and shield or something? Anyway, now you know how to use dual blades. You're welcome.
Alright, tell us about the sword and shield. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's all the way at the end, you pause champing motherfucker. Okay.
Hey,
You better hope that... I reckon all of this is him shit-talking the weapons until Sword and Shield, where he reveals the entire time that it's the Sword and Shield that he hates.
Yeah, I need you to do something for me. Take your controller, rip out the top and right face buttons, because you won't need them for this weapon. In fact, go ahead and tear out everything that isn't the left thumbstick, the bottom face button, and the right trigger, because the only way to win is to spin. Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
Okay, you know what? Just to prove him wrong, the next time we played Monster Hunter World, I'm using Sword and Shield. Yeah, no, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it. Next time Monster Hunter World, Sword and Shield. I am gonna see what it's all about.
Even though there are moves associated with those buttons, I can tell you now that they're worthless cherries on top, and I don't much care for cherries. They're like hipster grapes. The only viable move you'll need is the charge up. Forget mounting, forget the golf swing, and forget buffing your hammer, because you won't need any of it. The hammer is an absolute powerhouse weapon that rivals the greatsword when it comes to raw damage. You will wreck face with this thing, quite literally.
Of course, literally a giant hammer.
To glance at Rathian without spontaneously losing his tail after you're done with her. And like the greatsword, you have 3 levels of charge, resulting in 3 different attacks of varying power. Kind of like the different types of gas at the gas station, except these actually have a noticeable difference. The highest level of charge will have you spinning, like the July weather in Louisiana if released while moving. Unfortunately, just like the greatsword, your swings have very long startup and cooldown, which will give you a lot of time to cry at the fact that all the endgame hammers look the goddamn same. Where the hell is my gun hammer, Capcom? Yes, this thing sacrifices elegance for power, kind of like a male porn star. Capcom was able to perfectly...
Why did you use Danny Sexbang for that? Why did you use my mans? He is not a porn star. He is a porn king, I will have you know.
Capcom was able to perfectly simulate what a weapon with this mass and swing would do to a real-life monster, and they deemed it too powerful. It's part of why you have to sharpen an otherwise blunt weapon. So they toned down the one that we got in the game down to 10% of its full potential, which is only 0.025 of that of the Sword and Shield. In fact, I was able to hack into the game and reintroduce the since removed code, and this was the result.
Yeah, no, that holds up. Barbieheimer would shamelessly steal this scene many years later.
And there you have it. Now you know how to use the hammer. You're welcome. And by the way...
All right, guys, let's play a game. If every time JOCAT makes a reference to the weapon he's talking about being worse than the sword and shield, take a shot. We are all going to be fucking wasted by the last video.
The Bard is the best class in any RPG, and you can't change my mind. So you better bet your precious golden Wyverian print that the Hunting Horn is the real monster around these parts. What, you thought that comment about buffs was made with malice? Everybody knows shit-talking a Hunting Horn is sure to get your eardrums ruptured and your pants filled with the aftermath of the brown note. Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
Hunting Horn! Those who have far too much copium in their body.
Take the raw damage and Rathian uglifying knockout capabilities of the hammer and slap on the ass-kicking power of music, and you have yourself a weapon that wouldn't be caught dead under the label of support.
Yep.
But I guess nothing will stop developers from trying to tell you how you should play their game.
But don't take this support weapon for granted.
This thing does...
Listen. When are we all going to come to the understanding that people who use the hunting horn are the same people who in high school would willingly stay in class during their lunch break to spend time with the teacher because it was more fun to help teacher sign her papers than it was to go outside and realize you have no friends?
impact damage just like the hammer, so it's great for breaking monster parts like my heart after a long-term relationship ends in disaster. But on top of this, each button press corresponds to a different colored note, depending on if you hit the top face button, the right face button, or both. Then, once you have the proper notes lined up, pressing R2 lets you play a song to buff both you and your allies. But don't prematurely end that performance of your amateur high school band that's not quite good enough to sound like a legitimate band, but not quite awful enough to be ironically enjoyable, and it's just in that awkward place where it makes people uncomfortable just yet, because playing it a second time quickly after the first increases the buff's potency. And if you're good enough, like me, you can line up several songs to play at once. Just remember to sharpen your horn.
Or you can be the little scumbag that decides to use a macro to do it all for them. And wait, you can actually sharpen. Why do you sharpen a horn? That makes no sense.
To sound a little flat. Yes, I know, what an original joke. I'm such a comedy genius. Don't let anyone tell you you're the heel bitch, because you're so much more than that. Besides, if you so wish, you can choose not to give them that health recovery that they so
I can almost guarantee you every single person who uses the hunting horn in my stream
badass, not some
are never going to heal me
that
again.
Can't pull their DPS weight
In
and
fact,
has to rely on gimmicks to make
I see you there. I see you, Quebec. This motherfucker only ever uses the hunting horn when we play Monster Hunter together. They are never going to heal me again.
Decent contribution to the hunt. What do you take me for, the light bowgun? Now you know how to use the hunting horn. You're welcome.
Yay! I bet that was all white noise to me. Yes, the lance.
So let's say you're a bit cautious at getting close to the monster and you'd like to hide behind a near impenetrable wall while you hack away at your target, occasionally doing sick jump attacks.
Is this him saying that the sword and shield is good again? Take a shot. Take a shot.
You want something that's simple to learn but hard to master and has quite the bit of utility despite its initial simple nature. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but this isn't the sword and shield guide. I'm showing off the pokey stick. Welcome to a crap guide
We're gonna get schwiggity wasted!
to Monster Hunter.
Okay, better yet. Take a shot every time he says sword and shield outside of the sword and shield guide. I'm just saying.
The lance is the closest thing Monster Hunter has to a tank class, and although its blocking abilities aren't nearly as good as the sword and shields, it is capable of keeping you solidly planted and unmoved by some of the heaviest attacks the New World
really
can throw
freaking
at you.
cool.
Though you cannot kick from the guarding position, you can do something almost as good. That is, by pressing the right face button from behind the shield, you can activate a counter that actually works.
Oh,
no, I'm not
that's
still
really
salty
cool.
about the longsword. Shut up.
So this
and
is
even
the
if you don't
Souls-like
get
of
attacked
Monster
before the
Hunter.
counter timer is up, you'll throw a powerful lunge like some insecure nice guy sending insults to a girl who didn't immediately respond to his 3 a.m. text message. You can also poke from behind the shield, but you didn't join the commission just so you can hide from the monster. That's what the range weapons are for. Your primary moveset consists of various different flavors of pokes, so get that side slap shit out of here. We're hard at coming to thrust fast and penetrate any
we about
cracks
that
in any
side shit.
monster's
We
thick
about being
hide.
a
You can do a
support
combination
class
of low
here.
or high thrusts up to 3 consecutive times, as well as a short hop in the cardinal directions
you
for the same
beat up
amount.
that
Just try
wood.
to remember the rule of 3. I personally remind myself by chanting the names of the Powerpuff Girls. No, it's not weird, but the unanimously agreed upon objectively best move in the Lance's arsenal is the dash attack. By pressing both attack buttons while
Oh
blocking,
yeah, no wait, I actually used this really early on in my playthrough. I actually built a Gunlance solely for the purpose of being like, ooh, that's big and shiny. It's got a shield. I'm gonna use it, and then I did nothing but charge things.
start rolling around at the speed of sound. Forget trotting around the arena like a peasant while wielding this oversized spear. It's time to travel in style. And to top it all off, it's the perfect way to rack up damage on that monster that's desperately reaching for its life alert. Your job is to get into the thick of things with your comically massive lance thrusting.
Oh my god, that's actually kind of
This thing
dope.
is a gentleman's weapon, oozing with confidence and precision. It's strong and functional without trying to be overly flashy like its half-gun counterpart. And if you ever find yourself in an arena with mirroring climbing spots, the monster
Ooh,
best
that's
remember
kinda
its
cool.
safe word, because it's time for
Non-stop rapid-fire penetrating action.
And now you know how to use the lance. You're welcome.
To be fair, if you get into that stage, that's more fool on the monster for going into an enclosed area. Like, monsters that have wings, giant legs to run, and they decide to hide it in a little hovel that gives you tactical advantage. Fool on them.
Let's say you can't decide between using a ranged or melee weapon. You want to be well protected, but you also like getting up close and personal. The lance is cool, but you know what would be cooler? If we slapped on a huge-ass gun and bayonet at the top. Well, I'd say that's a weirdly specific set of tastes, but as strange as it is, there is a weapon like that. Welcome to A Crap Guide to Monster Hunter.
The Gunlance! I've just noticed all the weapons are starting to appear in the
The
videos
Gunlance
with him.
continues the trend of being anime as shit. Instead of putting a tactical knife at the end of a gun barrel...
Wait, was it Squall from Final Fantasy VIII that had a gun in his sword? This feels very Squall.
The master engineers over in Japan decided to flip the roles and attach a gun to something with a blade instead. To this end, the Gunlance is the Lance's louder, more obnoxious cousin that they try to avoid eye contact with at family reunions. Believe it or not, most of your heavy-hitting
Look,
moves
if the
involve slashing,
Gunlance
not
wants to
thrusting. Stop being
exist,
so
let the
weird,
gun
Gunlance.
have a
This is why
lance.
Sword and Shield doesn't visit anymore.
It
Some
can
of the same
identify
poking moves are
however it
shared
wants.
here, but instead of a high thrust, pressing the right face button will blast around all up in the monster. What, you thought you could actually take advantage of the gun part and attack at a distance? Hell no, that would actually make sense, and you're playing a game where jellyfish can fly, frogs can explode, and the Sword and Shield is considered bottom tier. There's a whole makes no sense. You can fire a number of shells before having to reload depending on what type of shelling your equipped Gunlance has. There are other properties
Wait,
to
is the Gunlance just a really overly elaborate version of the heavy bowgun? Because at which point, why don't you just use the heavy bowgun?
different types of shells, but honestly nobody cares. Be careful though, because firing it will eat through your sharpness faster than the time between a green light and the car behind you honking impatiently. By firing your shell multiple times, you're
Unless you're in Florida, in which case the time between the light going red and the car behind you honking doesn't exist. Because even when the light's red, Floridians will just drive past you and go through oncoming traffic. I'm just saying.
will get really excited before ejecting its worm steak, then laying down and having a smoke. But if you're more of a one-and-done
thank you,
kind of
Kim. I
hunter who
appreciate you,
only
Han.
cares about
Always good
finishing
to
as
see you.
quickly as possible,
You need
by
to do
pressing
something
both
sometime,
attack
Kim.
buttons while guarding, you can fire up some white-hot explosive goodness all over the monster's face. Most casual players who never really get it.
Wait. Joe, was that a sex joke? Joe, do we need to have a talk about your sexual pent-up frustration? Because, you seem to be projecting a lot in these videos. I'm just saying.
Into Monster Hunter, cite how the game is slow and clunky, and based on my detective intuition, I can deduce that they were all using the Gunlance. This thing is slow as hell and gives the great sword a run for its money when it comes to attacks that you have to run background checks on, take out to dinner, meet its parents, and listen to its life story before you're not even halfway through its swing. You sacrifice the flexibility of a super block, a reliable counter, and a dash attack for the ability to make low-effort innuendos. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, Rathian, I promise.
Well, he answered my question for me. Nah, dude, I feel like the Gunlance is just, like, way too overcomplicated and too much of a mishmash of different things. Like, if you're using the Gunlance, you either want to use the regular lance, or you want to use one of the ranged weapons. So they merged it into one and just kind of made it, why? I don't get it.
I promise this doesn't usually happen. And now you know how to
I'm not
use the
saying it's
Gunlance.
complex,
You're
I'm saying
welcome.
it's convoluted. Or, like, unnecessary. Still, a stroke for every bloke, I suppose. Switch axe!
On days like these,
I love the switch axe. This was one of the weapons I used a lot when I got back into the game.
feel like I really want to use more than just one weapon. I also really want to explode all up in the monster's business, but I don't want to use the asthmatic moveset of the Gunlance. Well, Joseph, you should try the switch axe, you say. And I say, did you just assume my weapon type? Fuck you, and welcome to A Crap Guide to Monster Hunter. If you ever feel like you don't fit into any one weapon style and identify as weapon fluid, well then it's just your
I am not going near that with a barge pole.
luck, because on today's installment of Anime Bullshit Weapons, we have the transforming switch axe. If you
Joe,
took the
you're
endless
complaining
combos
an
and
awful
power
lot,
building of the longsword and
about the
temporary
anime
buffing stance
bullshit
of the
in a
dual
game
blades
that's
and combine
literally
them into something
generated
that
around
actually requires
anime
skill,
bullshit.
You'll get this engineer's nightmare of a weapon. By default, you'll be in axe mode, where everything you do is average. Average move speed, average attack speed, average damage. It's all pretty mediocre. However, instead of needing to take years of hormones, therapy, and unwarranted abuse, by pressing R2 you seamlessly transition into sword mode, where your move speed is traded off for stronger attacks that can charge up a meter similar to the
This
longsword
was why
that
I
once
loved
maxed
it.
out will have you
'Cause it was
discharging
fluid.
files based on your
As
equipped
fluid
switch axe.
as
Your
my
sword mode does
relationship
require
with
time to recharge though, so be sure you give it
everything.
some time to rest, maybe tuck it in, read it a story, perhaps some bed and breakfast and a foot massage. If it weren't for the fact that the longsword was training wheels on training wheels and the sword and shield is the only obvious choice, the switch
God
axe
damn
is
it,
perfect
take a
for
shot.
anyone who's absolutely garbage at Monster Hunter, i.e. most of you. In battle, you'll be going back and forth between modes like some douchebag making jerk-ass comments and backpedaling depending on if he's criticized or not. But forget all that, just like the Gunlance, the only move that actually matters is by
Explosion
pressing the
on
right and
it!
top face button simultaneously.
When chat managed to helped me learn how to jump on an enemy and shove my sword into their face and then explode all over them like a dude with premature ejaculation syndrome. I had not experienced elation and dopamine so visceral until I shoved my sword into the final boss of the very game, only when I figured out how this worked and then ended up killing the final boss with explosions in the face.
You'll start building an elemental discharge. But don't stop there. Like I said, the switch axe requires a lot of love and support. So once it starts, be sure to mash the top face button like you're a parent shouting at your trophy child that if they don't make the goal, you're gonna have to bust out the studded belt, like the caring and
or an Asian that gets upset at their child for not scoring an A+ in their math exam.
responsible parent you are. This will unleash a devastating blow, and if your sword mode has been fed up nice and fat, you'll climb up onto the monster who won't be able to shake you off no matter how much Taylor Swift they listen to. And now you know how to use the switch axe. You're welcome.
Yeah, knowledge. Hi, Dora. Oh god, I pressed the wrong button. I fucked it up. I pressed the wrong button. Oh god. Oh jeez. Okay, it's fine. I'm back. Wait, Charge Blade? Was that one? Did I use Charge Blade? I think I did, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I used Charge Blade.
We feel pretty content with ourselves, satisfied with our own capabilities and limitations. But then there's always a younger and more successful new hotness coming along, showing us that there will always be someone to pass the torch to.
No,
carry
I
on
didn't
the
use this one. Wait, did I?
Maybe even surpass our own expectations. So if anyone can show me a weapon like that, I'd gladly drop the sword and shield, because it's certainly not this mighty morphing monstrosity. Welcome to a crap guide to monster.
No, I didn't. I think I was confusing this for the sword axe. It looks really cool, though. I mean, unnecessarily convoluted, but...
in the room, firstly, I'd like you to look up the Dunning-Kruger effect. Then I'd like to introduce you to the...
How dare you, JOCAT, assuming that I can read? I'm made of goo. I have no brain.
Charge Blade, a weapon that requires more prep work to get going than an elderly nun in the Mojave Desert. The Charge Blade is the ambitious little brother of the sword.
Okay. Joe, my buddy, my pal. I can tell this is one of your early videos because your joke writing... Oh, boy. Okay, so just because you can put the word... elderly nun in a desert in a sentence does not mean you should. It is funny in mind, but it is not funny in execution. I'm just... Just like my sex life!
Shield, who's been hanging out a little bit too long with the switch axe. It's considered one of the most technical and complicated weapons in the roster, which should be no problem for a monster hunting pro like me, who can't research the deeper quirks of a weapon and gives out incorrect information because he's desperately rushing to meet an arbitrary deadline.
Funny.
Climb up onto the monster
Simp.
who won't be able to shake you off no matter how much Taylor Swift they listen to. While in sword mode, you have your basic watered-down rip-off S&S moveset. Advancing slash, short combo, block, bash, spin. It's okay, Charge Blade, we all want to be sword and shield when we grow up. What really feeds my...
Take a shot, take a shot, take a goddamn shot! I'm gonna get fucking wasted.
Devil Joe is the Charge Blade's charging files mechanic. The most notable move is a chargeable slash via holding the right face button that starts to power up elemental files a la pick your favorite weeb trash. Once they reach red, you better charge them up by way of right face button while blocking.
How convenient you say that. Adora Bunny did just come into my stream.
Or else you'll be bouncing off of a monster like insults being thrown at someone with crippling depression. Charging these files is essential to many of the intricacies of this weapon. And because I'm such an expert, I'm going into deep detail about all the Charge Blades ins and outs, so I hope you're paying close attention because I'm not slowing down for you. Are you ready? Too bad, here we go. You primarily charge your blade by holding the right face button. Other attacks comboed out of it can charge the files as well, just not nearly as much. So it's best to primarily use the charge up slash while littering in other attacks to keep a healthy onslaught to the monster. Just remember to keep an eye on them, because if you're bouncing, you aren't loading your files, and if you aren't loading your quickly, you are doing nothing the attack so that's all the charge files. Now you can block extra, so don't you stop there just because it's time to charge more files. Because again, by holding your target down, it's not draining your files.
He could have snuck in some witty retort about furries or other detritus in there somewhere, and I would have completely missed it. But I understood everything he just said. I am also now having a mild conniption, and my brain is now bleeding. But I followed everything he said. And if you ask me to recite what he said, I'm going for a
You got all that? Good, because I'm not repeating it. Now you know how to use the Charge Blade. You're welcome.
Wow, I have been so illuminated. I am now infinitesimally smarter than I was before.
You know,
Insect! Yes! This is the weapon that got me back into playing Monster Hunter World after my long hiatus. If I cannot sexually identify as an Apache attack helicopter with rotary blades installed into my spine whilst I was simultaneously firing Apache missiles from my wing blades blades! I do not accept your argument, sir!
We hunters can be pretty ruthless sometimes, showing up to a monster's habitat and wailing on them when they were just minding their own business. And no matter how many times they think they've killed us, we always show up again and remind them what the definition of insanity is. So I find it pretty easy to empathize with the beasts when I could have sworn I swatted this fly like 2 hours ago! Get out of here, you scheming piece of shit! Put your hands together! Just die already! Welcome to a...
Somehow JOCAT's conversation with me after I invaded his room made it into this video. His pet name for me was Fly.
crap guide to Monster Hunter. The insect glaive.
Go on,
the weapon
go
everybody
on, go on. Tell me you think this is worse than the sword and shield. You fucking tell me right now. I know it's coming. This was my favorite weapon. So you shit on it. You shit on it right now. Go on. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Prom when it was introduced in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, while the smart, handsome, and sensitive charge blade was left on the sidelines because it didn't know how to communicate its feelings properly. To this end, the insect glaive knows how to draw a crowd by being a flippy, flashy asshole.
Yes,
Your attacks
because
are fascinating and wide-sweeping, and although I'd usually talk about the weapon's moveset, I can tell you now that it doesn't matter because you won't be sitting on the filthy ground. Your time is going to be spent annoying the ever-living hell out of the monster.
If you spend even a fraction of a second on the ground, you're playing unoptimally. If you are not in the air every single second of every single day of every single moment of every single swing of your weapon of every single moment of your existence whilst simultaneously banging the monster's ass cheeks like a bongo drum, you are not playing the insect glaive correctly. I'm just saying.
By whizzing around it like this fly that won't just let me kill it! You can leap into the air by holding R2 and pressing the bottom face button. And if you're a slut for using stamina, and you must be because you have 2 bars of it now, you can hit the bottom face button again while airborne to get a burst of farts projecting you into your currently inputted direction. You can keep up this aerial onslaught by pressing the right face button that, if connects, will launch you back into the air to repeat the process. There's absolutely no reason to do anything else. With how flashy and stamina consuming this maneuver is, there's no way it doesn't...
I'm aware that the air attacks are not as powerful, but I don't care. Do the ground attacks make me look like a progenerated, flamboyant Apache attack helicopter? Does it give me the flashy whooshies of going into the air? Because if it doesn't, your argument's invalid. I don't care. I like spinning. I like going in the air. I like being a helicopter. Leave me alone.
Do tons and tons of damage. So you should absolutely only do this the entire fight and nothing else. But on the off chance that you do land on the disgusting toad-ridden floors of the new world, you can aim your kinsect by holding the left trigger. And no, sorry, you can't use your slinger. Only the mighty sword and shield could handle a tool so powerful.
Take a shot! Take a shot!
Instead, this reticle allows you to launch your kinsect to go out and gather essence from the monster depending on where it lands. For instance, this red essence lets me know that this Lagiana's favorite ice cream flavor is bitterbug with sprinkles. If you're able to gather all 3 essence, you'll unlock the ability to super spin!
I don't think I ever understood. I do not think I ever fully understood how to make that work. Like, even after about 20 hours of playing with the kinsect blade, I still had no idea how to specifically, like, line up my charges properly. Smile.
If you're not a monster hunting pro like me and have trouble gathering the 3 different colored essence, you can press the right trigger while aiming to fire mustard at the monster. And every hunter knows bitches love mustard, so your kinsect will fly in bombarding the monster while leaving little fart clouds of various benefits. And really, with the kinsect locked onto the monster, you don't even have to do anything. Just sit back, relax, and watch the pretty colors. Now you know how to use the insect blade. You're welcome.
So the kinsect blade is basically for those with ADHD, which is exactly why it probably worked for me.
Ah, the ranged weapons, aka Conchu sympathizers, because they never had to deal with the frustration of bouncing off the hard-shelled bastards. Good news for all you ranged weapon mains too scared to be hurt by the big angry monster,
shotgun?
Because in World, they've been overhauled so that using them doesn't feel like shoving a kebab of 5 cacti up your ass. Now it's more like 2 cacti and a soft pillow instead. Welcome to a crap
don't you chastise my average Sunday night. Those kebabs are pretty damn good.
Guide to Monster Hunter. The light bowgun is kind of like the sword and shield of ranged weapons.
I'm gonna fucking lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it.
Except if it was lame and had to catch his breath every 5 seconds.
I swear to God, when it comes to the sword and shield guide, he better thoroughly explain why it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Simple, and you don't have to sacrifice mobility like a certain other Rambo movie buff. Look, it's even got its own cute little version of a shield bash. Unfortunately, the biggest reason the light bowgun doesn't reach the godly status of the sword and shield, aside from how you can't use items while it's unsheathed, is because its power is finite. You rely on ammo, and all of the ranged weapons have a mechanic called critical distance, where like Goldilocks, you have to find the range that's just right for the ammo that you're shooting. Or else you might as well be giving the monster a really bad massage with what little damage you do outside of that range. On top of this, when firing one of the various types of status building bullets,
I used the bow for a while,
this is
actually.
Part of why, more so than the hunting horn, many people consider the light bowgun the real support weapon. But I know a setup to turn it into a DPS machine. You see all these different types of ammo? Fuck them, we don't need them. This right here. This is the only type of ammo that actually matters. It can sever tails, it ignores armor, and you don't have to settle on carrying less than a quadriplegic toddler. And of course the new mechanic, you can lay down wyvern blasts. They're trip mines, it's not that hard to understand. You know what, I think I've been too hard on this thing. So let's slap on some wide range, load up on projectile lime juice, and shoot up some friends with delicious drugs. We're going full support, baby. Oh, you low on health? Let me fill you up. Hey buddy, I think you can use some damage.
You can actually use it to heal people?
Rock hard. Ain't nobody gonna be able to topple this wall. Yes, please get hurt more. Don't
and yet,
worry.
I guarantee
I'll make sure you're strong.
No gun bow user has ever been thanked for playing support. Never. Not a single time. In fact, Quebec, your mention about you having used it and been healing me proves my point. I have never noticed that your gun bow has healed me. Never. Not once.
Bulging health bar won't get too low. Now here, take this healing shot. Eat it. Now you know how to use the light bowgun. You're welcome.
Yay! Thank you, Joe. Okay, so what about the heavy bowgun?
Plenty of people will argue it's not the size that matters, it's how you use it. Those people have never blasted berry caliber hot lead all over a giant fluffy pink flaming sinus T-Rex while wearing an electro horse's skin as assless chaps alongside a self-aware cat companion donning a voxel Mega Man suit and a tiny sword. And those people need a reality check. Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
Friggin' unrealistic bit. I saw what was in there.
If you've wanted to use an actual gun and not a practice in patience, the heavy bowgun is great, since you can deal damage at a distance that could actually justify the title of range weapon. Every ammo type the light bowgun can use is also available to the heavy, plus a few extras. The only thing not carried over from the tiny whiny plinker flinker is the wyvern blast. Oh no, how sad. The additional Rathian spankingly awesome ammo types include firing frickin' mortars from the sky, and the Gunlance is wyvern fire without needing to wait for the weapon to cool down. Having trouble keeping it up, Gunlance? Heavy bowgun over here just shot its load, but it can go 4 more rounds already. In place of the amazing wyvern blast, the thick long rifle has 2 special ammo types, Rambo Heart and Boring Snipe. Boring Snipe is boring. You lay down to fire a single piercing shot and see the return of cringe damage. Rambo Heart, on the other hand, lets you daka 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 until the Aptonos come home.
I think I want to play with this gun again. A friend of mine, Ravtech, was actually giving me some advice on how to set this thing up properly. Ooh, I kind of want to do it.
And while you probably don't do as much overall burst damage as a boring snipe, what you do, they spray a whole lot of berries and rack up some nice KO damage. Boring snipe might be a burst of pleasure all at once, but Rambo is a constant burn. Ooh, yeah. While the light bowgun is busy applying status ailments and trying not to get pushed into lockers, your role as the heavy is to light them up and keep at a safe distance, since your dodge covers a surprising amount of ground despite its slow speed. Additionally, your overall larger clip size means everybody likes a heavy bowgun party because a heavy bowgun
also, you can mod it to make it look like the gun from Nier Automata.
Did I say you could stop? Now you know how to use the heavy bowgun. You're welcome.
Okay. Almost time. You better be ready to give me the best guide ever on the sword and shield to validate your constant friggin' orgasms for it.
Never retreat from a monster. It shows weakness, which
Thank
they
you for the
prey
Wizard
on.
Engineer.
Pray as in at a church or a temple. Not pray like a mantis would do. No, the monster will be setting on its knees, hoping you to stop the endless onslaught of pointy flying spears and constant balls dropping on them. And who could blame them? When has sending someone a bunch of obnoxious spears and balls ever worked out for anyone? Stop doing it. Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
Listen. I might have used the bow for an obscene amount of time because I didn't know how to use anything else. But you can't judge me for that, okay? This entire series of videos is Joe passively aggressively judging me for my weapon choices.
Everybody likes a cool bow and arrow. It's a sign of fine skill and precision. Just take a look at Legolas, Robin Hood, Katniss, Merida, Hawkeye, Green Arrow, Hanzo, Sylvanas, except that the one in World fires umbrellas, so it's a little less impressive. This last entry in the ranged weapons decides to go against the grain, trusting in the power of rope tied to a stick rather than gunpowder combustion. And although it doesn't require ammo to function, you are able to coat arrows with various different status effects depending on the equipped bow.
Oh, that's why I never did any damage! I didn't realize this used coatings? I always wondered why I was never even doing any damage! And yet I still used it for about 20 plus hours of gameplay.
Which I don't get. If you're coding the arrows, what does it matter what type of bow you have? Moreover, why the hell does the bow affect the elemental damage of the arrows at all? My immersion is ruined, Capcom.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
really, a giant
immersion.
lightning squirrel being thrown around by a walking pickle
I don't
that
know,
shoots
Wizard Engineer,
Coca-Cola
how
out of
did
its
you
mouth
find
I
this
can
channel?
handle. But this
Also, the
whole
really
arrow business is
oddly
just
blo-
ridiculous.
the real
Back
odd
on topic, the bow
bloke-
went to the school of great
really-
sword,
the
where you
really
can charge
odd bloke-
up your
hang on,
shots up to
five.
3 levels,
You're
but
clearly
skipped
from
a few
England,
classes
calling
and had to
yourself bloke.
bullshit the final
In it,
exam.
bruv.
So instead of having to charge up the full way, you can circumvent the downtime by rapidly firing off arrows, each one reaching the next level of charge. And by hitting the right face button, you can fire off a shotgun blast of umbrellas, followed by a parachute dropping near infinite Gordos that seem to materialize from the void. But because the bow likes to cut corners like a low-budget animation studio, you can skip straight to the ball dropping by holding the left trigger, the right face button, the D-sharp diminish chord, the brake pedal, and rubbing your thumb on the PlayStation trackpad in the shape of a dodecahedron. Of course, the biggest
I did that. In fact, I never didn't do that. I mean, obviously that's what you do. No, that's... Yeah, no, that's fine. No, I always did that. That was like my go-to move. Always.
biggest hitter in the bow's moveset is the Dragon Piercer. By pressing both attack buttons, you start charging up a super umbrella, blessed by Rihanna herself, and you should hope you don't miss or else you better have her money. The greatest weakness of the bow is that it's the biggest stamina slut of the lot. Every shot
Really?
requires you to expend that precious bar of 10.
I never
You're
noticed
gonna
it
find
really
yourself
chugged
in
that
the
much
red a
stamina.
lot if you're not careful. Just try your best to find a window of opportunity to pussy out like a little bit. I mean, reposition to a safer spot so that you...
Listen, it's not called pussying out like a bitch. It's called advancing in the opposite direction to gain a tactical elevatory advantage. Bitch.
You can regain stamina. And now you know how to use the bow. You're welcome.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
Yaha, Joe? Yaha? Yaha? You want to tell me more about the sword and shield? Okay. Okay. Joe? We've gone through about 30 minutes of your bullshit for you to give us enlightenment on why your little simpy sword and shield is the best thing in the world. So please, illuminate us. Also, what did the disclaimer say? I'm sorry, I should have read that. Warning! This is meant as a joke and is not at all a good guide to the game. You will not learn anything useful here. Any jabs I throw at your favorite weapon are merely for comedic purposes only. Every weapon is viable and fun to use, and there's nothing wrong with using what you like. Quebec! You need to be paying me for all these shout-outs, Quebec. Yeah. Give us a montage, you simp.
Fun isn't something one considers when using the best weapon for hunting monsters. But this
This is a knife.
does put a smile on my face. The other weapons, they specialize, hoping to be able to fill a niche that caters to the hunter's playstyle,
I'm
leaving themselves
sure.
open to
Have you
weakness.
put it up your ass yet?
But the sword and
That's the only
shield,
weapon I think you
it
need to care
laughs, for it has none. It's time. Welcome to a crap guide to Monster Hunter.
Alright, I swear to God, if he just goes into this video saying, "Psych, it sucks. Every other weapon is better than the sword and shield. You all suck. Yeah, freaking get a clue, noob." Like, I swear to God, this entire thing's just gonna put me on my ass. It doesn't matter how
This
much
is
of
it,
an
the
epic
Big Daddy, the
montage you
Alpha,
give
the
me.
Omega, the beginning of the end of every monster's career. The only reason every monster isn't extinct yet is because Capcom is
Okay, I'm gonna say this. If he manages to convince me through the course of this video that the sword and shield is worth all of the hype, I will build it the next time we play Monster Hunter, and I will use it to see whether his accusations and provocations are true or not. So convince me.
sure to hold this beast back with 1,000 locks and chains. The sword and shield, the only weapon you'll ever need because it's the only one that matters. It does everything every other weapon can do 50 times better. And then some. And I do mean everything! It's got a charge up to hit the weak point for massive damage. Stunning the monster, bang bang, sit the fuck down! Rapid combos in fucking spades! Aerial attacks mounting, get that stupid cockroach toothpick shit out of here.
Kinda cool.
Blocking ability, indestructible! And don't even get me started on elemental damage. Better start collecting swords of all the elements, cause you're gonna be exploiting the ever-living fuck out of those weaknesses. Oh, except that one. Let's get rid of that. You wanna talk
I wish people would feel as passionate about my existence as much as JOCAT feels as passionate about the sword and shield. Just saying.
ailments? I got your ailments. Poison out the ass. Paralysis? Oh no, you ain't going nowhere. Sleep nighty night, you fat lizard.
You ain't going
shit.
nowhere,
Blast you
butter.
bitch your fucking tits.
But Joseph, the damage numbers are really low.
Wrong, stupid. Look again. The sword and shield is the most damaging weapon in the entire game.
But you just photoshopped the picture.
Shut up! And this isn't even mentioning the fact that you can use items while it's unsheathed, which means you have sonic speed access to the whole of your inventory. Effectively meaning your Congalala's shitload of an item box is basically your moveset. Which
This
means you
guy
can do
is
disgusting
literally
shit like placing
so-
one trap after
so
another while
energetic for
throwing
this.
out the
God
never-ending
damn it,
laying
Joe.
of the definition of a smackdown. And that includes your ass-blasting slinger. Flash pods, screamer pods, shit-staining pods, all the pain-inducing ammo types dropped from the monsters themselves are available at the press of a button. No need to put your delicate plates away before playing with your toys like a bitch. Woohoo!
You know, with the amount of yelling he's doing and the amount of like overcompensating, someone might be saying that he is maybe coping a little bit, maybe overcompensating for some misdemeanors in his life.
Woohoo! You ain't getting away that easily. On top of this, Capcom made an addition to the game that unintentionally
Also,
buffed the
might
sword and
prove why
shield to
he's
the
slightly
mountains of
psychotic.
too fucking strong! The item wheel. You don't even need to spend 20 fucking minutes looking for the right shit anymore. Just pull up the wheel and drink up the gallons of inevitable wyvern tears. Other weapons ain't got shit compared to the power of the sword and shield. King of the hunting weapons! And I know you assholes are just dripping with gross excitement juices in anticipation to see this beautiful, pants-shittingly amazing weapon in action. But you best prep to shit your pants quite a few more times because that's exactly what you're getting.
So
yeah, I guess you could say it's pretty good. And now you know how to use all the weapons in Monster Hunter World. Most importantly, the best weapon, the sword and shield. You're welcome. And truly, from the bottom of my heart,
Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.
Wait, did his channel used to be called Hijack? Wait, is that what his channel used to be called? Oh, that's actually kind of adorable. I never knew that. Aww. Aww, Joe, you were such a little baby. You were such a little animated baby at the time. Oh, I love that. That's really sweet. Joe, I really hope you come back to the internet. Like, your work is actually inspiring. I truly, truly would miss you if you never did anything more. Well, that was a lot of fun. It was very eye-opening. And now I am conditioned to retch every time I hear the word sword and shield in the same sentence. You might be completely enthralled by it, Joe, but your oversimpingness has certainly put a certain, how should we say, ingrainment in my mind that it is now to be connotated with obsessive disorders. Anyway, make sure you go watch the original content, guys. Go subscribe to Joe. Send them a tweet to tell them that they're amazing and awesome and that they should come back and make more stuff because we love what they do. And I will see all of you guys later. Bye-bye!